Welcome everybody to this RoadAI launch. We are incredibly happy that so many of you were able to participate for this launch and kickoff today. So far, we have about 6-7 teams registered for the competition. We are still getting more teams registered for this competition, so we're very excited about that. Today, we have some of the members behind the competition that will present about the competition and also something about the data. But first of all, I would like to say something about Nora. So for those of you who don't know, obviously this is the wrong title. So for those of you who don't know, Nora is a Norwegian consortium consisting of 16 university partners, university colleges, and research institutes. We are a consortium working towards AI in 3 different focus points, namely innovation, research, and education. So for today, we're going to focus on the innovation part, as this dataset competition is a very important function that we have alongside that pillar. So the competition we are now launching is the RoadAI Reducing Emissions in Road Construction competition, whereas we aim to answer the question, 1.5% of Norwegian CO2 emissions come from construction machines. How can we use data to reduce this emission? Now, the winning team will be awarded with 35,000 kroners, and they will be announced at the Nordic AI Meet, which will take place in Copenhagen in October. For this competition, we have many exciting partners. With us today, we have Lars Horn, Chief Digital Advisor at Skanska, Signe Rima Sørensen, Research Manager and Senior Researcher at SINTEF Digital. She will be arriving shortly. Helga Margrethe Bodal Holmestad, which you shortly saw previously, who is a research scientist at SINTEF Digital. And we also have Sabri Rasik, Chief Engineer, Scientific and Reading Services at the University of Oslo, who is also in charge of the Norwegian AI Cloud. We also have 3 other members who are not here today, but that you will probably hear from along as we progress with the competition. Previously, we have hosted 3 other competitions, namely the MED-AI, Fish-AI, and Map-AI competitions that have been great successes. The last competition was, or from the last competition, named the Fish-AI competition, the winning team is actually now launching a startup in Bergen with NCE Seafood. So one of the other prizes for this competition is actually help from Skanska and also from the Startup Lab to help you commercialize your idea. So the point of the competition is, of course, to be creative and be innovative and when you come up with your solutions. But without further ado, I would like to give the word to Lars Horn, who will give us a little bit of background knowledge about the competition. Lars, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thanks. I'll put up my presentation. Just let me know when you can view it.
Yes.
Is it okay now?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I'll just start with a very short introduction, the corporate slides, but just worth highlighting. Skanska Norway is a part of Skanska AB, which is one of the world's largest contractors. We operate in selected home markets, mainly Europe and the United States. Yeah, and Skanska Norway is fully owned by Skanska AB. So, and in Norway, I just brought some examples what we do. We normally execute large, complex projects, such as Høyblokka, new water supply in Oslo, new E18, the main road in and out of Oslo. We just finalized a road up in Ålesund, connecting 3 islands to the mainland. But in all these kind of projects, we have high ambitions and high standards to reduce our emissions. So we started making calculating on this on the science-based target in 2015, with goals of 70% reduction within 2030 and be climate neutral before 2045. And our goal was actually 50% before 2030, but when the top management saw that we actually achieved that, they increased the goal to 70%. And what we see now is that the further we cut and improve the reduction of emissions, the harder it is. So all the new percentages are much harder. And we don't want to do this just buying CO2 quotas. We want to improve the efficiency of how we execute projects. And we are actually, so we want to be a sustainable contractor, but we also play quite a key role in the green shift, because we have a lot of emissions on the civil side. Skanska is one of the biggest contractors in Norway. And the construction machines, that's Birte said, that they account for roughly 1.5% of yearly CO2 emissions. So that as a backdrop, we also have big changes in the market. We see quite a lot of requirements in our contracts. We see international competition, new contract models. They are much larger in size than they used to be. So to utilize data to make like a greener project execution, that's very top of mind in Skanska, because that's a competitive advantage for us. And we're quite good at building infrastructure and buildings and roads, but we understand that we are not the best at processing data. That's why we participate in a lot of research, and also in consortiums such as NORA, because these are global problems and not Skanska problems alone. So we need to have partnership to solve these problems. And we see that like cutting the difficult percents in our emissions, there we actually see quite a place for machine learning or AI, so we can continue to deliver on our value, build for a better society. And when I talk about this utilizing data to build greener roads, a lot of people say that, oh no, the machine fabricator can look at this, but the challenge in a Skanska project is that we have machines from every supplier in the world, Cat, Hitachi, Volvo, etc. And we also have a lot of subcontractors building for us. So it's important for us to look at the top data set that have all the different permutations of a project execution and try to make that greener. And just in Norway, I think today we sell, or not Skanska, but in Norway it's sold 3,500 heavy duty machines each year for typically civil work. And they are all, or at least 99% of them are driven by diesel. There's some electric machines, but on the big projects that we execute, mainly all machines run on diesel or eco diesel or other more sustainable fuels, but still there's a lot of emissions. So this is something as a backdrop for this competition. I just wanted also to share like with the team what a typical infrastructure road project in Skanska looked like. Just maybe 5 years ago, a big contract was a shorter road distance and maybe 500 million NOK. Now we see that we just signed a contract on 10 billion NOK. And the geographical spacing is quite large, so it might be 30 kilometers from the start to the end or more. But still, normally how the industry operates the mass hauling on a project is that you have working units with an excavator and moving units, and they share construction roads. And these are roads that does not exist on like in Kartverket or in Google Maps. It's roads we build that are temporary, but we also use public roads. And they normally drive to a landfill or a crushing plant and back and forwards. And if you look at this, how we operate this is normally by foremen with walkie-talkies. So it's quite manual, but we still also have a lot of data on these operations. And if you see it more mathematically, we see that there is room for optimizing the hauling on all these kind of levels to do the road construction and mass hauling more efficient. And just I have some final reflections on just this competition, because we do research on this data that we provide here, but we see that we have just reached like the tip of the iceberg of the possibilities of the data, and we see also that we maybe don't have the creativity needed to really penetrate the data and unlock value from it. And that's why it's super exciting to share this data to you in the competition, to see that people from the outside of the industry try to find some value creations of the data for our industry. And I think this is the last slide, because Skanska, we can't sit and just wait that there will be electrical machines or autonomous machines. We need to do something with the consumption and optimization today with today's fleet and today's setup. So that's why we want you to look at the data and see if you can find some smart solutions to make our construction even more efficient and more sustainable. I think that's very short, Birte. That was all. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Lars. Again, this session is for questions and answers. So if you do have any questions, feel free to use the chat or use the Q&A function, and we will address them in the Q&A session at the end of the webinar. You're also welcome to just write in questions along the way as well. Without further ado, I would like to introduce Helga Holmestad, research scientist in SINTEF, who will introduce the data. Helga, the floor is yours. Do you want to try to share your screen?
Okay.
Perhaps
you see my screen and everything?
Yep.
Yes, okay.
Perfect.
Good. I just have a notebook to just give you like a brief introduction to the data. All the information about the data is on the website, but I was thinking I could just show you like the data frames that you will be working with and so on. So first of all, all the trucks on the construction site when they're building road, they have a GPS tracker. So you have access to all the GPS data from these trucks. So if you see the first just data I have, that's the GPS data. And you see that you have the latitude and longitude, and you have the uncertainty of the position. So the latitude is latitude and longitude, and the uncertainty is in meters. So you see you have quite a good resolution actually, it's like 8 meters uncertainty. And all the data is divided into trips, because what you do most of when you're building a road is to actually flatten the land, because when you build a road, it has to be quite flat. So you move mass from one place to another. And that's a lot of logistics around this. And the data is divided into what we call trips. So a trip consists of you pick up mass somewhere, you drive it somewhere else where you're supposed to like fill it in to make it flat. And then you dump it, and then you drive to another place or back to the same location to pick up new mass. So that's one trip, is this kind of picking up mass, dumping it somewhere, driving to pick up something new. And in the data, you will see that all the trips has a unique ID. So that's very important when you analyze the data, that that's what connects the different data sets. That's this unique ID. And what also, like, some of the data is connected by this unique ID, but some of the data that we haven't really utilized yet, it doesn't have this connection because it's different systems that collects data. So then you have to connect it by timestamp and longitude, latitude. So that's kind of up to your creativity, because we haven't done it yet. So yeah, so as you see, you have this GPS data, and But for all of the trips, you also have some metadata. As you see in the data set, it's called trips info. And there you will see that you have this trip log ID, so you can connect it to the GPS data. And you also have, like, all the dumpers and trucks, it just have a unique ID. So this is the dumper machine number, that's just one unique ID for one physical truck. And then you have the machine type, which is basically if you have a dumper or a truck. So here you can see the difference, that the dumpers, they are this large that can drive off-road, and then you have the normal trucks that can drive on roads, basically. And yeah, so there you see the machine type, and then you also have the position of the load and the dump, where you like load up mass to move it somewhere and where you dump it. And what you have to consider is that actually the load and the dump latitude, that's something that's collected manually, because the drivers, they are using this app, and I need to push a button when they are loading and dumping. So usually it's right, but sometimes they forget, and then they just drive somewhere, and then like, oops, I forgot, and then they push the button at some random place. So you'll see how you have to tackle that. Then you also have, I don't know if you see my, yeah, you also have the mass type, like the material, if it's stone or if it's sand or something else. And then you have the quantity, which is in tons. And all the description of the data is on the website, but this is just to give you an overview right away. And you can say that this data here, I've been working a lot with this data, so we have quite a good overview of this data. In addition, you will look at something called vibration data, where we turn on an accelerometer because they are using like an app on their phones that is in the cars. So then you can turn on this accelerometer that measures like the vibration. And this data we have briefly looked at, the summer student was briefly looking at it, but it's not been studied in detail. So you will see, you look at just how the data looks here from the startup. You also have the trip log ID, so you can connect the vibration data to a specific trip. And then you basically have to look up in the documentation for the like iPhone API for accelerometer data, because you have the acceleration in the 3 different directions, but you also have it like, you both have it relative to gravity, and you have it relative to the phone itself. So this is something to figure out, because we have not studied this in detail. So yeah, I'll give a link to like a full description of how this is done, so you can see that you have both relative to the iPhone on the that is in the cars, but also relative to gravity. I don't see any of you. Can you? I think we can pause here, because we're going through the GPS data and so on. If you have any questions right away, you can ask them now before we move on.
If you would like to ask questions using your voice as well, I can unmute you if you have any questions you want to ask live.
Mm-hmm.
Just raise your hand. Don't think we have any questions yet.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe later. Yeah.
Yes. So this, in addition, we also have machine data, which is data from the trucks, more about like fuel consumption and so on. And here we have each of the trucks has a unique ID, but it's not connected to trip log ID. So this is a different data set. So basically you have to connect it by longitude, latitude, and timestamp if you want to connect it to the GPS data. So here you have what kind of machine it is, what kind of model it is, and if you see the unique ID of each of the machines. And you can also, and you either have the fuel used in the last 24 hours, or you have the total fuel consumed. So as you see here, you have it for the 24 last hours, and you have it for the total. So it's either or. It depends on what kind of machine it is. So these are more messy data that we haven't studied that much in detail yet. So that's more challenging to use that. And it's, yeah, you have how odometer is how far it has been driving. Fuel consumption, that's basically what you have here. And then you have the longitude and latitude from where this measurement is from. And in addition, we actually have some drone data from the construction site. And this data we haven't been looking at all. Like the only thing I managed to do was to open one of the files to paste it in here. So that's left as an exercise for you to figure out how you can utilize the drone data. So yeah, all information about the data should be on the web page, but this was just like a brief introduction to, and also say something about what we've been studying already of the data, where we have good overview and where we don't have that good overview. So basically the GPS data, we have really good overview, and the drone data we haven't looked at. So if you're able to combine this, that would be probably the most interesting.
I think, Helga?
Yes.
Yeah, I think in the drone data we also have like pictures, orthophoto, but I also think we dumped also the point clouds they generate. So you have actually X, Y, Z elevations from the drones also. Yeah. Yes, we do. But honestly, I wasn't able to open it even, so it's not something we have looked at yet. No, it's a little bit challenged, but you can actually do mass calculations if you look at the drone data. The points. Yeah. Yes. Okay.
We do actually have a question, Helga.
Yes. Nice.
Is there observations in the machine data that may not be connected to a recording in the trips data?
That might not be. Oh, yeah. So if you have, so you mean that it might be machines that are like where you have the fuel data, but you don't have any tracking on them. I don't think that should be the case, but maybe Signe can answer that because she's the one who's been looking at the machine data. Is there any machines where you have machine data, but you don't track them?
Yes, that's very likely that there's data like that. There's no guarantee that it's a one-to-one match because the machine data are only tracked for the Skanska machines, but they're tracked for all Skanska machines. The ones that we're providing are the ones that are in the same geographical area, but they might not be coupled correctly with the GPS.
Yeah, and it might be machine fuel data that is not in the GPS track, but there also might be GPS track of machines that we don't have in the fuel data because it might be subcontractors where we don't have the machine data.
That's very certain that you have a lot of the data from where you have the GPS tracks that you don't find fuel data for.
Yeah, so it's an exciting data set that it's not cleaned up perfectly. It's a real world data set.
Isn't that just exciting though? And again, as Helga said, the data is now out on the website. So you can download it, have a go at it. And if you do have any questions as you get familiar with the data sets as well, you are welcome to reach out to us with your questions. I'm sure there will be more as you progress. Right. Do you have anything to add? Helga?
What did you say?
Do you have anything to add?
No, just good luck.
Signe, would you like to say something about the data, or should we?
No, I think Helga has covered everything.
Yes, she did a magnificent job.
Wish good luck, and of course contact us if there are any questions around the data.
Yes. Thank you very much, Helga. Then we move over to Sabri, who would like to say something about the licenses attached to the data.
Yes, thank you. before I go into the license, so we are using Google Drive to share the data and also to collect the results. So if you don't have, you could also send the results in I think for example, if you want to publish on Git, you could send that as well. But in general, the data is hosted on Google Drives. So if you have any permissions issues, please do contact Noora and we will try to solve it. So getting access to data should not be a hindrance for you to participate. So if you face some issues, please contact us and we'll try to solve that for you. Because when you download the data, you might be asked to log into using any Google account. So if you don't have a Google account or you don't want to use one, we will try to get you the data in some other way. And then to license, we have placed some license alongside the data itself. So when it comes to license, the reason there is a license is that if you don't place a license, by default, it means it's very restricted. So this is not to restrict your work. This is actually to provide you enough room to work with the data. So as you saw that we heard some industry names as well, and there might be other commercial interests in this as well. So basically what it says is that we have an agreement with you that the data provided you would not use for any other purpose than for the competition. So if you have some drone data, it might have some uncleaned information as well. So please be careful, don't share it, use it for the purpose. That is our understanding. And the license is that we are providing this Creative Commons non-commercial, non-derivative license to make it a standard, which means that you are not allowed to use it for any other purpose than that the data is distributed, and you could use it for commercial use or any other use. You could get more. You will get a copy of this license and a link to details, and which will also remove any obligations or implications that might be coming out of the data, which means in simple tests, simple words that you would only use the data to show the results that are necessary to participate in the competition, but not to do any other work on it. If you have any questions, or if you want some exceptions, please contact, and I think we can give you an example or give you advice on this. And the other thing is the code you submit. So the code you submit, we expect that you to have a MIT license attached to the code that when you send it. The MIT license in simple terms means that you are not liable, or you do not provide any warranty, or you not guarantee the results would be according to the license. You are not obligated to be attached to the outcomes of the results, but it will also say that if the data to be used as for commercial or any other use, it's allowed. So that is for the purpose of standard licensing, but in general, we will not use your code for anything other than for the evaluation purposes. When you submit it, we will contact you in that case. If you have any questions, please ask, and that's all from my side.
Thank you very much, Sabri. Again, remember to use the chat if you have questions. I would now like to give the word to Bjarne Jostein Singta, our representative from the Nordic Machine Intelligence Journal, which, as you probably read through in the competition, we have a tradition of writing some small articles about the progress that we make in the competition as well. So please, Bjarne Jostein, the floor is yours.
Yeah. Hi, I'm the journal manager of Nordic Machine Intelligence, the journal that you will submit the description paper to. We will then publish all of your papers together in a special issue. Are you seeing the slides now?
No, do you want me to share them?
Yeah, that would be nice.
Done and done.
Yeah.
They are up.
Yeah, great. Yeah, you can go to the next page. Yeah, many of you have probably not heard of us since we were established quite recently, or 2.5 years ago. So I'll start off by telling a bit about us. We are a so-called Diamond Open Access journal, which means that we don't charge the reader nor the authors for publishing. From the timeline, you can see that we started a collaboration with Nora quite early in the process. This is our first year. And then we started collaborating with the UIO that provide us with the tools necessary to review and publish papers. And you can also see that first year we also organized a machine learning challenge. In that case, it was to detect the polyps. The papers from this challenge became our first published papers and also our first issue. Next page. And a bit more about the journal. This is the name of all of the both the editor-in-chief, Anne Håkansson, and a researcher from a large variety of institutions. There is senior reviewers at our journal. Next page. We have previously organized 3 machine learning challenges together with Nora and other different external partners. We have reached level 1 in the Norwegian system, which means that you will gain academic points when you publish with us. Currently, we are only indexed in Google Scholar, but our next goal is to get indexed in Scopus and Web of Science and so on. And this will improve the visibility of the papers that you publish with us. So then, how should you prepare the paper? So first of all, where to find us? You can Google Nordic Machine Intelligence or go to the URL that you see on this page. On the website, you will find our overleaf template that you should use. You should then go to author guidelines, and then under the section named formatting, you will find the link to our overleaf template. It will then be sent to Overleaf, where you just press Open as Template, and then you will make your own copy of this template where you can describe your approach. You should describe the approach in 2 pages. So be brief in the introduction and focus on your method. We will publish a description paper that you should cite, and this paper will describe the motivation for solving this problem and how the data looks like. So this is typically a thing that you would put in the introduction, but you don't have to do this now when you cite this paper. If you're not familiar with scientific writing, we can help you. So please take contact on the email that you see in the bottom of the slide. And we will provide you with some help. And how to submit the paper. As described on Nora's webpage regarding the competition, you should publish the paper together with the other required files before the deadline, 10th September.
Yes.
That was all for me.
That was all from you. Thank you very much, Bjarne Jostein. And I think I forgot to say so in the beginning. By the way, I'm Birte Hansen. So please, if you have any questions about the journal, about the competition, about the data, please just email me and I will put you in contact with the right person on the team. If everyone of the team can please turn on your screens, we will open for questions from the audience. I don't see any questions in the chat or in the Q&A. Of course, this is more of a preliminary launch. We will, of course, have another session on the 14th of August once you have become more familiar with the data as well, where you are welcome to ask questions, but you are, of course, also welcome to ask us questions along the way as you progress with the data. But do we have any questions from the audience? Again, I can give you the function of voice if you would prefer to ask questions live. Crickets. No questions then. Okay, well then I would just like to remind each one of the people that are in attendance that we will again have another webinar on the 14th of August, where we will take questions about how you progressed so far with your solutions. On the 10th of September is the deadline to submit your results. And again, the winner will be announced at the Nordic AI Meet, which will be hosted on the 2nd and 3rd of October in Copenhagen. And there will also be funds for the winning team to travel to Copenhagen to actually participate at the conference. Again, the data has been launched, so go in, explore, and be creative. I would also like to thank Skanska for providing the data, to all of our valuable partners here today for helping us actually realize this competition. We're incredibly excited to get familiar with all the various different teams, see the solutions that you come up with, of course. And again, if you do have, I cannot specify this enough, if you do have any questions, if you run into any difficulty, please email us. Okay. Anybody from the team would like to add this final word? I think then we'll all wish you good luck and keep in touch. Thank you very much for coming.